Flosstube. This is Flosstube episode 18. It's Saturday and the date is the 16th. Tomorrow's Easter. Happy Easter, everybody. I was thinking, do I want to do a Flosstube today because it's Easter weekend? Everybody's going to be busy with Easter. I noticed there's this sign on the fence down at the community mailbox area where they post like when our community's having an event that they're gearing up for Easter, and they usually have an Easter egg hunt for the children. It's a really, I love our community. It's just really awesome. We're kind of nestled up on top of a mountain, and it's just we have a Facebook group, and it's really fun to live here. I love living here. But yeah, so I decided, well, why not? I'll do a Flosstube. I don't have a lot to share today. I always say that. Hopefully this video will be 30 minutes. That is always my goal, is to do at least a 30-minute video, so I could talk real slow. Oh, I haven't had an accent in a long time. I grew up in Pensacola, but I'm originally from Alabama, and Heflin is where my family is mostly from. Apparently we're Scottish. I did my DNA. I actually did Ancestry, and I did 123andMe. So Ancestry.com was telling me that I was Irish and Scottish, and so I guess I'm Irish. I'm mostly British, but I'm British Irish. So Heflin is a really small town, and I used to have a pretty strong accent. But I've lived in the West most of my adult life, me and my children, my husband, and I don't know, sometimes somebody will ask me where I'm from, so it kind of peeks out every now and then. But anyway, hopefully it'll be 30 minutes. I'll do my best. I do have some to share today. I just finished filling in my I want to welcome back my regular subscribers. Thank you guys for joining me again today. I hope you're having a good week. I hope you had a good week this past week, that you're having a good day. I want to welcome new subscribers. Thank you for joining me. And anybody new to my channel, if you're visiting with me today, thank you so much. This is a channel about mostly cross stitch. Flosstube is a community where we share our progress. It's a way of connecting when we can't get together in the physical world. But it's always fun to watch other people's Flosstube. I do watch other people's Flosstube. I was excited to watch the Twisted Sister did a Flosstube this past week. I was excited to see her and Vana, and that was refreshing. But I do watch other people's Flosstube. I just don't list it in my video unless I find somebody new. So I'll tell you, this past week, my daughter, my youngest daughter, she got me and my husband interested in watching Anne of Green Gables. And so every evening, that was the thing this past week. I was up till 4:30, which gave me some good stitching time. And I'll share my whip that I worked on this week watching Anne of Green Gables. It's truly a wonderful show. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. And so yeah, I was up till 4:30 watching with her. She finished up the last 2 episodes last night, but at 4:30 I was like, you know what, I gotta go to bed, sweetheart. I have to go to bed. I mean, I usually stay up till about 1:30, 2 o'clock. That's usually my bedtime. But I stretched it a couple of days this week. Just really sunk into that Anne of Green Gables, but last night I was like, dear, I gotta go to bed, even though there was only 2 more episodes, and I really, really wanted to watch, but I won't spoil it for you. But it's a really good show, so if you haven't watched it, maybe that would be something you're interested in watching. But I did get some stitching done. I went down a rabbit hole with that one. Oh, I was talking about other people's Flosstube. I do watch other people's Flosstube, and I have some favorites, but I usually don't share it in the description below. unless it's somebody new. And I didn't see anyone new this week, so but anyway, on with the show. I did keep, I just finished recording this week's work in my book of days. You know, I'm really enjoying this book. All last year I watched others as they recorded their progress and their stitching, and I was just like really excited to get this at the end of the year last year when it came out, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, I love to be organized, even though I'm not. Oh, so yeah, so let me share, I got some pretty exciting news. I had a new start this week, but something exciting that I want to share about that start and this past week. But first of all, I do have a finish. Let me go ahead and grab that. I have a finish. I did finish I had listed it as a finish last week in my book of days, but I kind of was going back and forth about the border, whether I wanted to add it or not. And I did start adding the border last week, and I changed my mind on the colors. So, but here it is, completely finished, ready for FFOing. And I don't know, I'm still kind of on the fence about how I want to finish it. I thought, well, a pillow or a bag. So I probably won't make a bag out of it because the shape would be square. So I started using a Q-snap, an 8x11, and so I'm kind of like in that shape of project bag, although I do have a few that are elongated, but yeah, I'm still on the fence on how I'm going to finish that, but I have all my stems and everything all finished in there. There was actually a border or two that I needed to add in the first one. I don't know, what's my thing with borders? When I first started cross stitching, borders were the thing for me. That would be the first thing I'd start stitching, and I just, for some reason, kind of got away from that. But yeah, I had a little bit of a rough time going back and doing that border. So several times I told myself I should do the border as I'm stitching. And so maybe my next one, that's what I'll do. I'll stitch the border, because it's really time consuming to go back and redo the border. This border took some effort. But I love this pattern. It's so beautiful, so colorful, and it was something that I started because I wanted to stitch something that had to do with spring. I remember we were still having a few cold days, but I was really, really anxious for spring to get here. And so I think it's fully here. But anyway, I was really proud to get that one finally finished. And maybe next week I'll have it FFO'd. I didn't do any FFOing this week. I was actually going to work on my the one that I wanted to put on a box that I mentioned in last week's video, but I didn't have a round box that was big enough, so I had opted to go with a square box. But I got to thinking about it this past week, and it really had my heart set on doing it on a round box. So I think I'm just going to go scouting and see if I can find a larger round box that it would fit on. And so yeah, that's in the future as an FFO. So I had mentioned in last week's video that I have been stitching on a lot of stuff that I was not stitching on my whips that I had planned on working on this year. And this year was kind of going to be a sampler year for me, because a lot of my whips are samplers. And so last week I decided to start working on some of my whips, just so I'm working on them. And so a couple days ago I started toying around with joining back with WhipGo, and I think that, you know, I'm pretty good at, when I set plans, to stick with them, although I may be a little bit slow at getting to them. I miss WhipGo, so I'm thinking about restarting with that and doing a chart and everything, and I think in my mind it will help me stay organized. But one of the things is, if you've recently joined my channel, I lost my mother in January of this year, and she was living with us, and she passed in January. And so a lot of times when I'm stitching, I will stitch in the living room watching TV, but so I'll take whatever I plan on working on that week, I'll take it up with me. And I have a lot of my cross stitch stuff here in my sewing room. And so so her bedroom is upstairs, and I really just didn't want to, I just wanted to keep her room the way it was. And it's been that way, but I think I'm almost to the point now that I feel like I could go in and just kind of condense her stuff down. And yeah, I'm thinking about making her room into just my cross stitch room. I think she would be okay with that. And so that way I can keep all my cross stitch stuff in one place, and I can keep it better organized. There's actually windows in her room, so I could do my floss tube there, and they'd be better light, because right now I'm downstairs in the basement in my sewing room that we finished last year. I was so excited. But it will free up some space in here too that I desperately need. But yeah, so talking about being organized, that was another rabbit hole. But thinking about working on that this week. So say a prayer for me that I'm strong enough to get through it and everything. So, but hopefully, maybe, I don't know, depends on how well I do. But maybe I'll be able to do my floss tube up there in that area of the house next week. But so another whip that I worked on, and I didn't bring the folder over with me. A lot of times when I'm getting ready for my floss tube, I'll just take everything out, press it, and then I left the folder over there. But when I'm editing the video in a little while, I'll just post a photo of it here. But the whip that I worked on this week, watching Anne of Green Gables with my daughter, is Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut. And I'll go ahead and I'll show the photo here. And this is a whip that I've had, I think I started it in the latter part of 2020. It was a whip all last year that I really just didn't get to it very much. But this is my progress this week. I worked on the border, as I was talking about working on the border. I decided that I would go ahead and get the border going and get it done. And so that's what I worked on. Yeah, that's what I worked on this week. I thought I had a string hanging there. So I was pretty happy. So that is my work in progress this week, watching Anne of Green Gables till 4 in the morning. But I was super happy. I was surprised. I thought that it would go down further. So I'm gonna have a pretty good piece of linen down at the bottom. This is sterling by Picture This Plus. And yeah, so that's a really fun piece. One of the things that I loved stitching on this pattern was this flag, because it has like a, I don't know what you call it, but it's just like I know that there's a row right there that I still have to complete. I was looking at it last night, and I remembered last year when I did a floss tube, or was it the year before? Probably the beginning of last year, I was working on, I stitched a lot up here, and I remembered this past week when I was looking, I was like, oh yeah, I've got one more row to finish in that flag. But I really love that flag. It's just got all the blended colors and it looks almost 3D. But this is a really fun pattern, and I enjoy stitching on it. And so I will probably, for the month of April, I'm going to be working on this one and the other one. Last week I was calling it, I think it's Rose Winter Haven, or Winter Rose Haven, but I will be working on that one too. Those are my focus pieces for my sampler focus pieces for the month of April. So I had a new start. So that was that one. I had a new start this past week. And as you all know, this one, I forgot to mention, this was a sal. It was called Flowers and Bees Sal by Durene Jones Cross Stitch, and she's on Facebook, and this is a free pattern. And even though the sal is over, you can still access the pattern if you would like to stitch this. All you have to do is go to her Facebook page, Durene Jones Cross Stitch. I'll leave a link in the description, and look in her photos. And you'll want to go back to around January is when we started it, to find the beginning of there's actually a chart in there that outlines all the different sections, that shows you where to place each of the patterns. But just can go back to January photos and you'll find that, and then just look for each part, and they're listed in this was part 1, and then there's part 2. She gives the black and white chart and also the color chart. I like working with a color chart. But this is Durene Jones Cross Stitch pattern, and a free chart that she released. I guess she does this every year. I noticed someone posted a photo of a chart from last year's sal. So I really enjoyed stitching on that so much, and I love her patterns. She's a wonderful designer. And so I decided to go over and purchase one of her designs. There's several that I have my eye on, but I purchased this one. It's called Plant a Garden. And I just love this saying. It says, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow." And Audrey Hepburn said that. And so this is the chart that I started on this week. I really love it, all the colors. And I'm stitching this on 16 count Aida. And one of the things that I discovered this week is that I really like stitching on a larger size Aida. And so this is my start. I colored this. I picked this piece up at Michael's. A larger piece of Aida. Actually didn't bring, I forget the name of it, but I picked it up at Michael's. It's the larger size. And I started on it this week. And so that is this flower right here, this one. And when I started to get ready for my floss tube today, I was really concerned that maybe I had started it too low and whether I would have enough room to finish this piece. I cut the piece based on, I use Yarn Tree cross stitch calculator. So, and also I trust Durene Jones charts, but I had cut this piece based on the measurements, and I was really concerned earlier when I was, so I just sewed a seam around the outside of the Aida, because Aida ravels really a lot. But I was looking at it and was like, oh no, did I start it too low? I usually allow 2 inches when I use the calculator. So just before I started my floss tube, I measured, and this is about 40 stitches. Sorry. This is about 40 stitches that I stitched, and I need about 4 more of those, so I think I'm gonna have plenty of room. I think it'll be fine. What I may do this week is go ahead and stitch down just to see how far, because it's kind of a narrow pattern. It's really narrow, so I don't think I'll have any trouble going this way. But what I'll do this week is I'll just go ahead and stitch down to the bottom just to make sure, because I've done that before. I've put a lot of stitching into something, and yeah, you don't want to do that. So, but I colored this Aida like a light blue, because it kind of looks that way in the pattern. It looks like it's stitched on like a baby blue. You guys, look at all those different colors. And one of the things I love about her patterns is that she blends the colors. So I really like that effect in cross stitch. So I don't know why, but my youngest daughter, Sarah, she took an interest in cross stitch, you guys. She was like wanting to cross stitch with me, and I was super excited about it. Oh, really? Okay. And so we set out to find her a good pattern that she could start with. And we found she loves cats. She has 2 Siamese cats that she adopted when they were babies. And so we had found this one cross stitch pattern, and we purchased it. It was a download, and we went and got all the floss and everything. We went to that's when I bought the 16 count. And so I was showing her how to Parker thread, but it got a little bit complicated. So I was like, I know, let's go find one that doesn't have a lot of colors and that would be easy for you. So we found this one by the Little Stitchery. It's a UK shop where you can purchase patterns and downloads. So she purchased this one. He's so cute. He's a little elephant with a balloon. And she started on that one day before yesterday. Same time I started on this one because I had a lot of trouble finding all the colors that I needed. For some reason, the stores are not stocking the DMC. I don't have a local LNS, so I have to pull resources from several different places. But for some reason, I don't know, the stores are not stocking the DMC as often as they usually do. So I had a little bit of a hard time. But we were able to pull together, we were able to pull together all the flosses and fabric that she needed. And she's doing this on 14 count. So I'm pretty excited about that, you guys. I was like, last night I was like, are you gonna work on your cross stitch? And he goes, oh, I already did. I worked on it a little bit, but she doesn't want to get over, she's taking it slow, which is good. And so I'm just super excited. I have finally somebody that was, one of my children, they were interested in cross stitching. So I don't know how it's gonna go. I don't know if she's gonna stick with it, but that was super exciting this week. I was thrilled. But that's everything I have to share. Let's see, we're in 22 minutes. Not too bad, not too shabby. I don't have any haul this week. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything I have to share this week. I hope that everyone is doing well. I hope this video finds you doing well. Thank you for all your comments. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I love sharing my works in progress. I don't know, this past couple of weeks just kind of been down. It's a little bit hard to find inspiration. So that was pretty exciting that my daughter was interested in start cross stitching with me. But yeah, so I look forward to doing a video each week. Sometimes I think, oh, I'm not going to do one because I feel like I don't have enough to share. But I find once I get into it, get started, it's all good. And it's good to stay connected. So, but I hope you guys have a wonderful week coming up, that you get some good stitching time in, and that you stay well and that you be safe. And I will see you guys. Oh, somebody had asked last week about the journal that I did. I will leave a link to that shop on Etsy where you can purchase that. I think it's not very much. It's under $5, I think. Maybe it was on sale, so maybe a little bit more, but it's not very expensive. And all you do is you purchase that download, you print it out you want to print it out on cardstock. You want it to be a little bit hefty paper. I think it was 100 pound cardstock, but you could probably get away with 65 pound. Michael's carries it. So I think it was like maybe 6 pages. So you print all that out, you cut out the pieces, and then you can just glue it together. It's really fun. There's also a tutorial, and I think she mentions the link to the tutorial in the pattern download. So I'll leave a link for that in the description below today's video to do, so that you can find that if you're interested in putting that journal together. Okay guys, thanks for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you again in my next video. Okay, see ya.